Football fans, Gooners, welcome to the pre-season edition of the Positively Uncensored podcast. And with me, as usual, is my friend and partner, Blackburn George. George, how are you doing?
I'm all right.
We have been away for a couple of weeks. I had to take a break because, as you know, George, after Friday, it will be without any unforeseen things happening. We'll be doing this weekly, and it takes a lot of effort. let me put it that way. Hey, George, good to see you again. And it's hard to believe, George. Oh, preseason is done. Season starting earlier than usual, we must admit. But on Friday, I think we get things rolling. Isn't it Friday? Crystal Palace?
Yes.
Wow, George. How has this preseason been for you? Lots of goals, lots of excitement. How has it been for you?
It's been good. It's been good. What I've seen of it, and the transfer window, all the speculation and comings and, well, not goings, but comings and comings.
Finally, Nuno is leaving.
Oh, yeah. Last year's game changer is off. This year's game changer is in. Still.
Yes. You know.
Good luck to the lad. I hope he comes back a better player.
Mm-hmm. And George, we scored a lot of goals. I was impressed by Gabriel Jesus. I saw very little of Zinchenko. I'll tell people I have not been paying a £5.99 to watch preseason games. I'm sorry, guys. But the little I've seen of him in those clips on the .com, but he's been impressive, and we know he's a good player from the days he was at City. But tell me about the newcomers.
Well, I think those two are exceptionally good for us where we are at this moment in time. They're definitely two of our best players now. I don't think there's any question about that. They come straight in, the first team starters, first 11 starters, and they improve us considerably in whatever position they play in. It looks like it's going to be Jesus down the middle and Shevchenko at left back.
Yes.
I'm a little bit surprised because I see him more in midfield personally. I would prefer him in midfield. And it might come to that if we all of a sudden lose a midfielder that we were depending on.
But it's obvious that with Nuno gone, that he's going to be the left back. But I can't see him playing back up to Tierney, George.
No, goodness, no. But that said, maybe when Tierney's playing, he can move into midfield. Mm-hmm. So I think he'll play regardless of what position he plays in. He'll either be at left back or he'll be in midfield. I don't think he'll be second choice to anybody. If he doesn't play instead of Tierney, it won't be because he's not as good as Tierney. It'll be because he improves our midfield, and Tierney doesn't damage us at left back. So that's how I see it anyway. I think he's an exceptional player.
And I know you've been singing his praises forever. In fact, you said that if there was one player from Manchester City that you would grab with both arms and drive him from Blackburn to London, would have been Zinchenko. In terms of available players. I mean, there are other good players. I know you always said he would be good for us. Not a question.
I mean, I wanted him before there was even mention of him. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. But that said, I also wanted Jesus. I also wanted Gundogan, and I also wanted Sterling.
That's why I said all of them. Players. That's why I said of the available players. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, I'd have had any of them. Yes. But the two that we've got, absolutely over the moon. And because there were first team nailed on starters at City, doesn't mean that they're not good enough for City, because they've played for City and they've played huge parts for City. It simply means that they could afford to let them go, get the money in, and build in different areas. You know, I don't see any downside to it at all. It's hugely improved us massively.
George, you said that you think he's gonna come inside in midfield, but that appears to me that wouldn't. What's that gonna do to Xhaka? And I only highlight because Xhaka is very left-footed, extraordinarily left-footed, and so you know, and I would imagine Zinchenko. Well, Zinchenko is also left-footed, although I've seen Pep sub him over on the right back area when he had a problem, but that was very unusual. I mean, how do you see that working? That's the question.
Well, if he was playing in midfield, I'd see him. It won't be Xhaka he was replacing. For me, it would be Partey that he replaces, and sort of we'll be playing rather than a 4-2-3-1. It would be more 4-1-4-1 formation.
So that the one would be Odegaard. That's so well. I'm getting ahead of myself. George, by the way,
or a 4. You could have it. I don't know, with the Partey. Xhaka behind Odegaard and Shevchenko.
Yes, I thought that's what you were going to say, because he loves to play three.
Yeah, and 3 up front, so more 4-3-3 in a way, but not with a flat.
Yes, flat back forward of one in front of them.
Which would allow sort of a diamond. Oh, look, listen to me talking all technical, but it would allow sort of a diamond in midfield. Yes. Although it would be more advanced diamond, because at the head of that diamond would be Gabriel Jesus, who could drop deep, as he did at Manchester City, as more of a false 9. So that would leave you with 3-4 very technical players in that quadrangle, if you will, and still leave you the wingers, Saka and Martinelli yes. Wide to move inside. So I think that would be interesting and exciting. But yes, my overall feeling is that he'll play. He'll play somewhere, no matter who else is fit. He'll be in the team, even if it comes to taking Xhaka out and resting him, giving him a minute, because he doesn't normally get a single minute to rest.
Yeah.
We're now at a position where we could actually not play Xhaka and collapse like a deck of cards.
It is interesting. You see Zinchenko taking Partey out of the team, but which is contrary to the prevailing wisdom. And from the preseason, I'm being careful here, by the way, when I talk about Partey. But in the games Partey has played, he's got ample time.
Watch those eggs that you're treading on here. You might break.
I'm treading on the Partey eggs because, one wonders.
You don't want to be up to your neck in shit, do you?
No, and I don't know the facts, and I've always, refused to be dragged in these things without a certain amount of facts. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure, George. I'm honest.
Nobody's sure. Nobody's sure. But the problem is, just like everything in the Arsenal fear fan base, everybody's taking a side or not taking a side, but people are taking a side, and the sides are either Party is a horrible rapist, or she is a gold-digging whore.
Yes.
There's no in-betweens, you know. And the fact is, it will be somewhere in between. And we're not going to know where that somewhere is. All we can do is look at what evidence is put in front of us, and that's not ever going to be all the evidence. I mean, look at the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case.
Right.
You know, once it got to court and the evidence came out, everybody looked at it completely differently to they did prior to getting to court. I mean, prior to getting to court, it was believe women, believe, you know, Me Too, you know, he's an abuser, he needs to be in jail. They present the evidence, and now it's she's caused harm to Me Too, and she should be in jail, and it's completely reversed about. Yeah, I'm not saying it's either way with this case. What I'm saying is, even with our perceptions of what we know at this moment, when the actual evidence comes out, if it ever comes out, we might change our perspective completely. Right. And those people that are insisting as well, it makes me laugh that, oh, the club should take the moral high ground and suspend him and he shouldn't be playing for Arsenal while there's this going on. Well, they haven't got £100 million investment in him.
That's right.
And whether you like it or not, that's got to come into your thinking. If you know, if a mate of yours did something a bit naughty, you could cut off ties with him. You could say, "Oh, bollocks to him! That was terrible that he did." But if he was your business partner and you were going to lose your business because you cut off ties with him, you might consider that you're a bit more tolerant to his behaviour. So we'll just have to wait and see on that. But it's a mess, Shotta. And we shouldn't pretend that it's not. Brush it under the carpet and say, oh, we don't want to discuss it because, you know, we don't know all the facts. It's too big of a mess to not discuss.
Well, you know, I don't have enough, and I'm not a person who loves the tabloid media. So I've been trying to make sure that I'm given to making rash statements, George. So I don't want to rush into this one. You know, as you said, the Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing should make people wary of accusations. And the thing I noticed on Twitter, Arsenal Twitter in particular, is all those people with virtue signal and were on the Me Too movement. They're now like, oh no, don't touch my precious, don't accuse my precious party of anything. And I find that very hypocritical.
Yeah, the hypocrisies are outstanding. It's brand new levels, isn't it? I was thinking about this. I mean, you remember Prince Andrew paid?
Yes.
He paid $10 million to keep it out of court.
Yes.
And everybody was saying, oh, it's an admission of guilt. It's an admission of guilt. He's an abuser. He should be stripped of everything.
Right.
And maybe he should have been. But now he's paid her, what, 100 grand or something, was it, to out of court. Yeah. She's gone against a non-disclosure agreement. And now everybody's saying that proves nothing. It proves nothing that he's paid her. The same people. It's unbelievable. And maybe it does prove nothing. My point is, as ever, the hypocrisy of our fans, they'll just pick on whatever suits them. I mean, I've seen some dreadful, dreadful things said about that girl. And why? Because they like Thomas Partey. It's not because they know any more than any of the rest of us, because they like Thomas Partey. And then I've been accused of talking about it. I shouldn't be talking about it because real fans wouldn't talk about it. And I'm only talking about it because I hate Thomas Partey. I've never disliked Thomas Partey at all. But because I hate Thomas Partey, I'm talking about it on Twitter. It's outrageous. You know, it's a fucking mess. I mean, it was a real mess. And I really, really feel sorry for those people at the club that have to plot a strategy because they're going to please no one.
Yes, yes. Well, but in it, footballing wise, we have this. There's a huge section of the fan base and the media who thinks Thomas Partey is God's gift to the football club, and this podcast has noted that he is not as versatile as we'd like him to be, has a tendency to turn into trouble, and that he's a bad passer. And let's not say he's a bad passer. He's not a very good passer and not a very good tackler, George. He gets called for some, because he tackles badly. But, be that as it may, you're thinking, go ahead.
He's a limited big lump.
That's a samba we've been waiting for forever.
It takes a while to run round him.
Right.
Let's be fair.
Yeah, well, and of course he has had these two big games, one against United and the other one against Leicester. Yes.
Yeah. Well, he can play well.
Yes.
I mean, he certainly adds to the team. There's no question about that.
Yes.
When Xhaka's shepherded him through a game, he can be very, very good.
Yeah,
and very effective next to Xhaka. I'm not sure what he'd be like on his own, left to his own devices and left to his own decision making, because that seems a bit suspect to me as well.
Going through my head a while ago, John, it'd be interesting to see how people go through this mental gymnastics if their current great hero on failing, the god of football, Mikel Arteta, moves Zinchenko inside and keeps Xhaka as the deepest, central midfielder. How will they excuse that? I mean, that's possible because
it's possible, but those same people will tell you it's improbable. I don't think it's improbable at all. I think it's more probable than improbable. But they wouldn't accept it if you said that to them. They just wouldn't accept it. Yeah. They don't. You see Xhaka play every available minute of every single game that Mikel Arteta can possibly play him in. And yet still people will tell you that he shouldn't be in the team. And people that trust their God Arteta, absolutely, unquestionably, the only question they ask is, why do you keep playing Xhaka? It's like they trust him with everything, except his opinion of Xhaka.
Yes.
So where do you go from there? You can't win.
Keep in midfield, George, and I don't want to drag this out, but Lukonga may or may not be going.
He looks a bit better. He looks to have bulked up a bit.
Yes.
I think he can be. I think there's a player in there, and as long as we use him sparingly in the right games, I don't see why he can't improve and be okay as well. I mean, he's not a bad player. He's a decent player. He has potential, but maybe thrown in a little bit too deep last season.
Right.
Going back again, to that might have been a mistake. Maybe we should have been throwing El Neni in sooner.
Well, I forgot El Neni, who's got a 1-year extension, is not going anywhere.
But that's another thing you're not allowed to mention.
Yes.
Previous mistakes, past mistakes are all forgotten and forgiven now. And for me, that seems strange. No more so than always bringing up past mistakes as if nothing good is happening at the moment. That's bloody weird as well. Yeah. It's an analogy I made today to someone I was talking to on the phone. It's like if you get married and your wife can't cook, she burns the beans on toast even. She's dreadful. And 3 years down the line, she's taking some cookery lessons. She's buying some better raw materials.
Yes.
And she's cooking some nice meals. Do you sit down and enjoy the nice meal that she's made? Or do you say to her, fucking hell, what about those beans on toast you burned 3 years ago? You've got to move on from it, haven't you? Except where you are now. And I think at the moment, we're in a sort of nice steak and chips place with Arsenal instead of the burnt beans on toast. And there's no point looking back 10 years to when we were eating gourmet meals cooked by a chef that we used to live with. He's gone now, so yes. We are where we are, and we can enjoy what we're getting at the moment. And at the moment, at this very moment, I've jumped on the bandwagon, and I'm getting carried away when I shouldn't get carried away with the pre-season results and the way we're playing. And I'm going to say I'm looking forward to the season, and I think it'll be a good season, relatively speaking. As long as we're not expecting miracles, I think it'll be I think we have a good shot at getting top 4.
I'm coming to that, but looking across at what looks like prospective play, first 11, George, I think Gabriel is going to play left center half, but it looks like White days might be numbered because Saliba has been playing like a real ace. Your thoughts on that?
Well, again, I don't think there's going to be a problem myself, because I think Ben White will play at right back when Thomas Ako's injured, and he's always fucking injured. Yeah, he's always fucking injured. So he'll play a lot. He'll play as much as Zinchenko will play with Tierney being out. Put it that way. And when he's not playing at right back, we can rotate the central defenders, because hopefully we'll have quite a few games, so he'll be playing it in the middle of the park as well. We can play 3 at the back. And that would give you Zinchenko sort of as a wing back rather than a right back.
Yes,
which would suit us ideally as well. So I don't. So there isn't a problem to me. It's not fixed that the number of injuries we get and the number of games we have. We need all these players, and Ben White can cover for either Gabriel or Saliba.
No.
The one that's going to suffer probably is Rob Holding. He's not going to get much game time.
I was going to mention that.
He's not going to get much game time, but he's never got much game time anyway. So it's not like he's going to be worse off, is it? Or we're going to be worse off because he plays less, because he's never hardly played anyway.
So he might be sold, you think?
I don't think he'll be sold. I think you need 4 centre halves. But I just think he's firmly entrenched at the bottom of the pecking order, even though Ehab will tell you that he's our best defender.
Trying to get him on today, he's not. I wasn't able to. And over on the right back, Tommy Yasu, we spoke about him. Cedric or Bellerin at the moment, isn't it? But Bellerin is desperate to go back to Spain.
He is desperate to go, and we're desperate not to pay for him, and we're desperate to get his wages off. Yes. But there's an impasse at the moment, and I personally wouldn't be too unhappy if he was our backup right back rather than Cedric. Well, and maybe Cedric can play at left back.
Yeah, well, he can play on both sides. I see Edu more, and I'm going to use this word, guys. I know it's a judgmental word, but I see Edu moralizing about players must be committed to the team. We don't play players that are not committed. Like, really, they have a job to do. But hey.
Yeah, but the thing is with Bellerin, you couldn't have got a more committed player than Hector Bellerin. He's not committed because we've uncommitted him. But that's harking back to the past. We are where we are. He seems happy in Spain. We seem happy to let him go from the team. Let's just hope that they can find a compromise and he gets his move and we get rid of the headache. And it's £210,000 a week off the wage bill. And I know we shouldn't over-egg the importance of reducing the wage bill, but 110 grand a week gives you 110 grand a week to spend somewhere else. So,
well, no, there's nothing. I mean, going by what we did last January, the Crankies were concerned about the wage bill. I mean, they moved a lot of players out just to cut.
But again, I'm not sure whether they were concerned with reducing the wage bill or freeing up the wage bill.
Could be a bit of both.
You can look at it from either side. You can say, oh, they didn't want to pay the wages, or they wanted those wages. Because let's face it, with the financial fair play, we still have a limit to how much we can pay in wages.
By the way, George, looking on it on both sides, that's a sacrilege on in Arsenal Twitter and Arsenal podcast.
Oh
both
yeah,
sides? Are you crazy? George, moving into midfield very quickly. Odegaard is now locked in. No, there's no doubt about it. I mean, he's a captain now. I am concerned about Smith Rowe and the game time he'll get.
Yeah, well, that's his problem, isn't it?
Mm.
He'll get his opportunities. If he takes his opportunities, he'll play more.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a bad thing. Who would he play instead of? Odegaard? I don't think so.
Right.
I don't think so. Not in that position. His passing isn't good enough to be a genuine number 10. On Odegaard's is.
Yeah.
He'd probably score more goals than Odegaard, but that's because he's not going to be playing in midfield. He's going to be wandering into the box more.
You play him on the left side. Play him on the left side.
Yeah, we're playing instead of, Martinelli can't play every minute of every game. He'll get his chance. If he's coming on at 70 minutes, don't forget we've got 5 substitutes now.
Yes, that too is another factor.
So if he's coming on and playing 20, 25 minutes, if he plays well and presses and scores, then he'll start starting him. This is a healthy position that we're worrying about good players not making the first 11.
The front line is mentioned it already. Martinelli looks near on to start on left. Jesus coming through the middle. Saka on the right. I think that was pretty much a start against Seville. It's usually a good sign when the team that starts in the last preseason matches pretty much did nail on first 11. So our boy Nketiah is going to be coming off the bench. What do you see?
Yeah, again, what's your problem? What's the problem? Good player. He comes in, does a job, makes an impression. He'll start in some of the cup games. He'll start in some of the Europa League games. And if he really impresses, he'll get to play in that position. And Jesus, yeah, he can start relieving Saka of some of the burdens of playing all the minutes that God sent on the right. We can switch in that position. Again, I don't see it as a problem. I really don't. The more competition, the better. And if they're good enough, they'll come through and they'll get the right amount of game time. Mikel Arteta's not a stupid fucking man. If they can play in his system and do the job, and they're playing better than the guy who they've come in to replace, he'll keep them in the team. I believe that. He's a clever tactician. He understands the game. Mm-hmm. That's not his weakness. That's not his failing, if he has any, which I think he does. But that certainly isn't his. It's not his ability to identify whether a player is technically good enough to play in a position. Mm-hmm. That's absolutely given. He knows that. He knows that as well as anyone.
Am I missing anybody in terms of their importance? I guess we should just ask ourselves, speculate amongst ourselves, who we expect to be gone by the end of August. That's the end of the transfer window. Who we think is practically certain to go?
Oh, I think Leno.
Oh, yes. But he's gone already, right? He's gone to Fulham.
He's not gone yet, has he?
Oh, that deal wasn't signed. It was George. I saw a huge uproar because they're all getting 12 million pounds. So it was like a 30 million. What was it when we signed? It was like 30 million pounds. Like guys in the chat are somebody clarify, but we paid a lot more money for him.
Oh yeah, we're going to make a loss on him, and but anyway, we think we're going to get back about what we paid for the American kid that's coming in to replace him,
Turner.
I think he's a clear downgrade on Turner, but that's just the way it is, you know.
Yes.
The wages will probably be a lot less for Turner, and Leno deserves to be playing first team football.
Right.
I think he'll go.
And he wants to go to Qatar.
Yeah, and he wants to stay in London. So I think he'll go. I hope he gets his move for a couple of million. I don't think we should bother. And Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Hector. I see those three going for sure. I can't think who else there might be. I don't think we'll let Rob Holding go because I think we need four central midfielders.
Remember we play Europa.
You play Europa, and Tavares has gone on loan, so that's 5 out, isn't it?
Yes. George, okay. Coming close to the crunch time. Where do I want to hear your predictions of where you think we'll end. I know you're a big believer in the chances of a team play well. You think there's a correlation with a team's final position with the value of their squad, so I'll help you there. City's squad is 1.02 billion euros. Liverpool, 870 million euros. Chelsea's 834. Tottenham is 757. United is 726 or 727 if you want to round up. And Arsenal rounds off the list of the top 6 at 707 million pounds. And that's all from Transfer Market, George.
Yeah, so basically they're all much of a muchness, aren't they? But
Especially the last three.
The last 3 or 4 are much of a muchness. So that's where I see it. That's where we finish. In amongst somewhere between 3rd and 6th. If things go well, if we click, if the young lads improve, because I think that's where we have an advantage over the other teams. I think there's more scope for improvement in our younger team. Because we have a younger team, I think there's more scope for improvement.
Saka and Odegaard and Martinelli. So
Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli.
And Smith Rowe.
Yeah, and Smith Rowe. Can all improve considerably on last year. And not that they were bad last year, but they can be considerably better this year. Whereas Tottenham's team, they're peaked out if age-wise. They're at the best. They're not going to get better. Harry Kane's not going to be better this year.
No, I was thinking of him, George. Harry Kane and Son are not going to get much better.
No, they're not going to get much better. I think we have a chance. Whoever we bring in midfield, I think we might bring one more midfield player in.
Well, you know my thesis, George. I know my thesis. I wrote on it earlier. I expect another spending. I expect when you see Arteta flattering the Cronkies, there's always money flowing. That's the biggest sign, and people think that I'm just being anti-Arteta, but that's what I've seen. It's been not just me, the records.
Good for him. If that's what
I think there's going to be another midfielder. I'm glad you mentioned it. I think. Go ahead, my friend. I'm not my.
So yeah, it'll depend on the quality of that midfielder, and unfortunately, it'll depend on what happens to Thomas Partey, because it could all go terribly wrong for him. But let's assume that he can play. We need someone to cover for him. I mean, imagine if we got Gundogan. Well, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
No, just stop.
I tell you what.
Dreaming. Stop dreaming.
I was dreaming about Zinchenko and I dreamed about Jesus. Why can't I not dream about Gundogan? I mean, he'd be far, far better than Tielemans.
Yes. Oh, yes. That's not in question. My mind was running. We didn't even. I mean, we spent 30 million on Vieira, but I don't see him having much of an impact this year. I mean, he's lightweight to me.
Well, again, I think he'll play. He'll be replacing Odegaard in games Odegaard's not playing if he's injured, and the lesser games. And again, if he impresses, Mikel Arteta will find a way to fit him into the team. You just have to look at how Manchester City play. I know he isn't Pep Guardiola, but you know he's got very, very much of his philosophies going. And like if they bring in Bernardo Silva, and they were talking about him leaving this time last year. Mm-hmm. He started playing and playing really well, and he became a fixture in the team somewhere. Didn't always play him in the same position.
Yes,
started him all over the place.
Yes,
but he played him, and I think it was the same with your boy Fabio. If he is outstanding. If he comes on to replace Martin Odegaard and he's running past people, dribbling, scoring, creating chances, then he'll get. If Odegaard comes back in, he can move him out on one of the wings. He can do it that way. Again, I haven't got a problem with it. I think if he excels, he'll play, and if he doesn't excel, he'll still get enough game time to improve. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. So, but he's George. Well, it all depends on him because I mean, Arteta got Martinelli and Saka and Smith Rowe. And he's a coach, and I'm not going to just say no. But Vieira only played in Portugal, unlike say Bernardo Silva, who went to Malaga, or was it where he went before he came to City, and he also played for Portugal. And this young dude is not quite there yet.
Oh God, no! I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if he impresses sufficiently, Arteta will find a place for him, the same as he did with Silva or whoever it is at City that happens to start. Gundogan, not last season, the season before.
Oh yeah, when he was on fire.
He was on fire, and he started nearly every game somewhere. Because he was doing it. So even though you wouldn't have had him down as one of the first 11, he was in the first 11 because he was on form and he was playing well. And I think it'll be the same. I hope it's the same at Arsenal, that if they're on form, Mikel Arteta will find a place for them. And like I say, 5 substitutes now. 5 substitutes.
Yes.
European football. 2 cup competition to go at. Loads of games. Good players to rotate. This is where we want to be, and I'm as enthusiastic as I've been for years.
George, so you're saying we are between third and
6th, and I think third is much more possible now than I believed at the end of last season. If you'd have suggested to me, well, you'll think we might get third at the beginning of next season, and I laughed in your face. And I said, no chance. We're more liable to be 10th than third. But
well, you're assuming that Chelsea might falter?
I'm not really bothered about Chelsea faltering. I just think we have the potential in this team now to get third, regardless of what the others do. Tottenham's not going to play as bad as last season. United certainly won't be as bad as last season. Chelsea might be thereabouts the same. They're going to struggle with a centre forward unless they get someone in. Regardless of how they play, I think we now have the capability to play well enough to get third place.
George, I am not as optimistic. I think that fourth is there for us. Most people know that on Twitter. I'm just like, commit yourself to fourth. Don't be afraid. Some people think that I'm, being unfair.
Yeah,
but I know the politics. I know the politics very well. But go ahead.
Can I just say, because I say I think third is possible,
yes,
that doesn't mean I think fourth or fifth will be failure.
Yes, that's a good point.
You know,
but you know what I think, George? I think there are a number of fans who will not say this because they're so protective of the manager. But if we don't make top four, they'll be bitter. And the club is, the club doesn't want to, and this is the point. The club doesn't want to make that a public objective because they know that the fans will make that.
I know, and I've seen you make that point.
Yes.
A lot.
Yes.
But for me,
yes.
Why should they put pressure on themselves?
They won't.
Why would you set a target for yourself that's difficult to attain and you're going to be criticized for not reaching it? You know, if when I was working in banking and you had to make profit on something like selling endowment policies, the commission on endowment policies.
Yes.
And they said, how much commission are you going to make this year? And I'd say like 10,000. And they would say, well, we were thinking 50. Well, I might think, well, I can actually do 30 here, but I'm going to start low. I'm going to set my bar as low as possible because it makes no sense for me to say, 50, because now I know I'm going to fail, probably. And even if I get it, people are going to say, well, you expected to get that anyway. You've only done your job. So I don't see a problem with them not coming out public and saying, we have to get fourth, because there are other things to do. What if players get injured? What if they start off the season giving fucking penalties against us, like they did in Arsenal's last season when we were about 10 to 12 points behind where we should have been? Those excuses all still exist. I just don't see a problem with them not saying that we have to. Why would you do that? Why would you say we'll fail if we don't get top four? You're just making a problem for yourself, because even if you get it, then everybody will say, well, you thought you were going to get it anyway, so what are you crying about?
Well, George, there's another side way of looking at it.
If you say, I think we'll be as long as we get top 8, we're aiming for top 8. Everything on that is a success, then, isn't it?
Well, you know what Edu says. Edu says our aim is to improve. Our aim is to win, and the Champions League will then be the success, the end result of the process. Which I like. And I'm like, Edu.
No, you wanted to commit, because then you can point your finger and say you failed.
Oh yes, I want to say yes.
I don't want him to commit. I don't want him to commit, because he just brings pressure when there's no need for pressure. And he's right. We'll do as well as we can. And if we get third, everybody can celebrate and say, wow, what a fantastic achievement it is. But if he says we're going to get fourth anyway, we know that's the minimum we expect, well, third's only a little bit better than that, isn't it? He's not done much, really, has he? No, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with them. I understand why they're doing it. I understand why you think they're doing it, and why they don't want to commit.
Yes.
But if it was me, I wouldn't be committing either.
Well, probably George. And if I was in their shoes, I wouldn't commit either, because I've tried to sandbag my boss before, and they would be like, "No, Shotta, you're not getting away with that goal." And that's the point I was making. Anyway, George, people the thing about Twitter now, I don't know if you noticed that Twitter is a den of intolerance. You don't have an alternative opinion, and I don't even try to abuse people. Unless I'm like, the best I'll say, you're being deceptive, or you're deceiving yourself. Well, they hate me for that. Anyway, George, let's leave it at that. It's all pretty much as much as I want to say today. I want to, like I said, I think we can do top 4, and I'm supporting it all the way. And I think the way you put it, 3 to 6, you know, is a nice range. We have a lot of competitors, and we are 6 in terms of squad value.
So and we're six in terms of betting as well.
Really, I didn't look at that before we did.
Yeah,
anyway, George.
Well.
Yeah. You know, I don't want to make this too long. It's long enough already. But thank you. We'll do this absolutely again. Guys, like and subscribe. Like. we need likes. Likes like never before. And as usual, you'll get our point of view. Not afraid. We're not well, at least for me, George. I'm not going with the herd. I'm not going to go along with the crowd for the sake of going along with the crowd. It has cost me, but I think I've done pretty well in my personal life, just not going along with the crowd. How about you?
Oh, I hate the crowd. Fucking hate it.
The optics here aren't right. Thank you, George.
See you later. Bye, everybody.
We'll get this up and running. Bye. Bye, guys. See you again for soon.